the Bayview. Today we are talking liposuction. Of course, we have all of our regular crew. We have Meredith, Bonnie, myself, Jennifer Rogers, and our very special guest. This is Dr. Raghu Athre. Today we're talking liposuction. A lot of people have a lot of questions about this, but they get nervous to ask them. So before we get into some of those really important questions that women of all ages have, first we always want to start off with our little starter question. And as we all know, a lot of celebrities are into liposuction. And I wanted to know, who is your favorite celebrity body? And then Dr. Athre, what you're going to do is tell us yes if you think they've had lipo or no. So favorite celebrity body, Meredith.
Audrina Patridge. I think she has a really good body. She was on The Hills. I know that show, but she has a great Hollywood body.
Okay, Dr. Raghu, lipo or no
Possibly.
lipo?
Possibly.
Why do you say possibly? Where would she have it?
Here's the thing: is that lipo is one of those things. If it's done well, it's really hard to tell. So that's the thing, is people have this conceptualization that when you do lipo, you're really changing someone's entire body shape, and you really aren't. So it's really meant for very small areas of fat, and it's more of a shaping rather than a whole body change. So, I mean, realistically, they could have had lipo, and you really would never know.
Okay, Bonnie, who's your favorite celebrity body?
Well, I'm not going to pick one of these young ones. I'm going to go with someone a little bit older, but of course not my age. So I'm going to say Sandra Bullock.
I don't think she has. I mean, just seeing her body type, I don't think that she'd be a good lipo candidate.
Very interesting. Well, I like those athletic types. So my favorite celebrity body is actually Cameron Diaz.
Possible. She's a definite possible.
I see you, Cameron.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, well, we have a lot of questions about liposuction that we're going to ask you. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Bayview. Today we are talking liposuction. You have something that is very, very interesting you're going to tell us about in a minute. Here's a little teaser for you.
So I'll tell you a little bit. Let me first start off with what liposuction is. I think that's what a lot of people have questions about. And down the road, we're going to talk about something that's really cool, banking your fat cells. This is absolutely novel and brand new, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But liposuction, actually, it's been around forever. And what liposuction basically, as you can tell, is sucking out fat. And you know, people have all of these weird misconceptions about liposuction. What it's really, really used for is this. It's the best candidate, someone who's pretty much at their target weight, who has small trouble areas, something right around here. And they say, hey, you know what? I've been working out. I do all the right things. I eat right, all this kinds of stuff. I just can't get rid of this little bulge here, or I can't get rid of this little bulge here. I just want to shape those areas. That is your most perfect liposuction candidate. Many times we get patients who come in and say, hey, you know what? I'm not happy with my overall body shape and things like that. That's not your real good liposuction candidate. They're not going to be happy with the results afterwards. So many of those patients are referred for either workout, diet, regimen management, all these kinds of various things, because once they hit that target weight and then they come back to me, their results are going to be, instead of bringing them from here to here, you bring them from here way up here.
We have women of all different age groups. And I'm going to let Meredith start, because when you're in your 20s, you can burn fat a little easier. Absolutely. I'm starting to realize you can't when you start to hit your 30s and above. But Meredith, what is your big question about liposuction?
Well, really, I was kind of wondering about the after effects. After you go in and get lipo, I was kind of researching earlier online, just did Google images, and I saw some kind of scary images, just some different splotching that kind of happens afterwards. What's a typical result look like afterwards?
Good question. So in a nutshell, again, all of this is operator dependent. It really depends on how good the operator is, how experienced they are, how good they are. That's what really makes the difference, okay? In general, let's first start off with what you're really trying to do. In reality, you're not really sucking out a whole lot of fat. You are sucking some out, but the majority of the effect of the shrinking is not by sucking out fat. Rather, it's by causing a little bit of scar contraction, which is shrink wrapping in place. So what you do is you've got skin. Underneath the skin, you've got this layer of fat. And you sit there and take a cannula and you're trying to kind of beat those cells up. When you beat those cells up, you are extracting some of them, but what it's really causing is this kind of inflammatory response in there that's causing everything to heal, shrink wrap, and that's what's causing the tightening for the most part. Now, what should it look like? For at least a couple of weeks, it's going to look bruised. Okay, so it's going to look bruised and swollen and things like that. And overall, within about probably 4 to 6 weeks in that time vicinity, you should see the kind of the slenderizing effect. Things that we do to kind of speed that process around. So for example, when we get women or men who get abdominal liposuction, we make them wear a binder. So we make them wear that binder for about a month. And what that does is it really kind of causes that skin to really help shrink wrap and put a little pressure on between the skin and that layer that you've connected to cause everything to shrink in.
If it was me, you know, having it done, I know it couldn't be done at one time. And of course, I'm not a good candidate for it because I'm way overweight, and I understand that. But if it's an individual who's coming in to have it done, is it all done in one session or is it done in multiple?
Excellent question. It really depends on the patient, okay? So this is really a decision that's made patient as well as with the doctor, okay? So there is a limit to how much liposuction you can do at one sitting. Now, most normal-sized patients, you can do the entire liposuction at one sitting. But let's say, for example, you get a patient who's had something like a gastric bypass or bariatric surgery, and now they have excess amounts of soft tissue. In those kinds of patients, and that's called large volume liposuction, in those kinds of patients, A, it has to be done in the hospital, and B, it may be done at different stages, so broken up. And the reason for that is when you're doing that amount of liposuction, you're going to be causing a lot of volume shifting. Okay, so physiologically, when you're doing that, there's a lot of volume shifts in terms of blood, water, bodily fluids, those kinds of things, and it becomes dangerous and you can have a lot of complications. So therefore, in those kinds of patients, when doing the large volume liposuction, it needs to be done in the hospital or broken up into multiple sessions. But most average sized people, it can be done at one sitting. So that really is where that doctor expertise comes in, because they kind of have to do a gestalt, estimate on how much they're going to do and whether it's safe for that patient.
I know some people that have had liposuction, and I want to know about the maintenance, because this isn't just something where you can go and start eating whatever you want again. I mean, the fat will rebuild itself. So talk about maintenance once you get it done.
It's kind of like anything else, okay? So pretty much everything we do is you're taking a person and picking up from one point and depositing them at a different point on the spectrum of whether it's age, beauty, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And you're hoping that that is their pick-me-up to change the way that they think and their lifestyle, okay? So diets, for example, okay? Everyone, if you do they've done scientific studies on diets, and they find that overall diets don't work. The reason is people assume that, hey, I'm going to go on this diet for a couple of weeks, I'm going to crash, lose 15, 20 pounds, and then they assume that they're going to be 15 or 20 pounds lighter forever. No, the purpose of that diet was, this is going to crash me down 20 pounds, but this is my wake-up call to change the way I am, what I eat, how I exercise, and my lifestyle. So lipo is no different than that. It's your wake-up call. It can give you pretty targeted results, but it's also your alarm clock to say, okay, these are some of the things that I need to do if I want to maintain this.
Okay, well, great advice. I think our questions were definitely answered. And coming up, you want to give the teaser?
So we're going to talk about something that's absolutely brand spanking new, banking your fat cells.
Banking your fat cells. This is something that was only done here at Athre and Associates right now.
Here in Houston, yeah. There's very few doctors across the country that do this, and we're the only guys in Houston that do it.
Okay, coming up, you'll hear what it is.
If you have an adorable furry friend at home, be sure to have them featured on YourTownTV.com on Mrs. Rogers' Neighborhood. You could also win the chance to have a $50 gift card courtesy of Signature Bistro in Seabrook. To register, go to our website and click on the Share Videos tab and upload your video of your pet today.